I hope, as always, everybody is doing well. Thank you all for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. If you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. Don't have any particular plans for today's topic, so rather just a general discussion, as always, on anything you want to talk about. Again, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let's give it a few. I enjoyed today's discussion at 1 p.m. The question being, and I think it's a very valid question, to be honest, within Freemasonry, which is, do you think that Freemasonry or Freemasons, pick your term, you could even use the term Grand Lodges in some ways, do you think that they are ghost brands, right? Or even the better question, what is a ghost brand? I think there's some valid questions therein. So let's give it a few minutes. Let's see who joins. And once again, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. And any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? All right, let's give it a couple minutes. Let's see who joins. And thank you once again, everybody who has been here thus far. Any thoughts you have, right? These discussions, I don't have any specific topics. Rather, it's just chatting about whatever we kind of want to talk about. Marquis, 2014. Hello, how's it going? Thanks for joining. I'm not sure if you're new or not to the stream. I think I recognize your name. If you are new, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. If you're not new, welcome back. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you have any thoughts, again, on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. Also, 1 week from today, it is Remembrance Day. In Canada, it's Veterans Day. In the States, I think it's Remembrance Day throughout most of the Commonwealth. If you or your Masonic Lodge are going to be doing anything for Remembrance Day, please let me know. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to get this set up. Put this up here. You can also do a super chat of even just $1 or 99 cents would be incredibly helpful. Euro. I am a Mason. I've been a Mason since 2007. So about 20 years. And with Screen Cameras Promotions, my goal is to promote the ways that Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as talking about stories of Masonic interest. You're new. All right, well then, welcome, Marquis. I hope, like I said, you'll hit like and subscribe. Let me know if you have any thoughts, again, on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, neutral. I'd love to hear it. Or if you want to potentially do a super chat or anything else you want to talk about. These 1 a.m. streams, 1 a.m. Eastern, I don't really, have any specific topics, rather just chatting with people. I will say, though, I had an excellent time tonight at Trinity Lodge. What are the benefits of being a Mason? Good question, Euro. Honestly, every Mason has to decide that for himself. And I know that's kind of a cop out answer, but it's true. I mean, my current answer, to be honest, is there are no benefits to being a Freemason except the opportunities it provides you to contribute to making the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. It's about what you can contribute, not the benefits you can receive. Having said that, many join because they find a sense of brotherhood and fellowship, friendship. Many join because they're interested in being part of and learning more about history, historical groups. Many join because they have family connections. They want to be closer to their family members. Sometimes there's the benefit of a social safety net component. As a Mason, if you fall on harder times, you have more brethren you can rely on to assist you, or benevolence, things like that. There's health benefits to joining Freemasonry in the sense that, um, all the evidence indicates that having social connections and supports improves your health. So there's a million examples like that. But ultimately, I think within Freemasonry, the focus should not be what you can gain, but rather what you can contribute or how you can benefit others through your involvement. What's your rank? I'm not a big fan of the term rank, Euro. I don't think it's quite accurate. The office I hold is Worshipful Master and Past Master as well. And also, yeah, I've also been 18th degree Scottish Rite. But really, the rank that matters within Freemasonry is three degrees. After that, it's not. It's kind of after that. It's more. 3 degrees is the highest rank in Freemasonry. That's what matters. That's your Master Mason. After that, there's a lot of knowledge to be gained by joining additional degrees. However, it's not. It doesn't make you more of a Mason, let's say, to be 18th degree Scottish Rite or 32nd degree Scottish Rite. I found brotherhood in prison. Cool. I used to work in a jail, actually. I was a rehab officer, which jails have different terms for them, but I would help people upon release try to find housing, employment, things like that. So, cool. You can find brotherhood in many different places. Prison is one of them. Hopefully, though, it was a brotherhood predicated on ensuring that you never came back to jail, and supporting each other, making positive changes in your life, which you can do, um, whether you're in jail or out of jail. You are never in such a place that you cannot try to make a better life for yourself. That's always been my opinion. What about worshiping Moloch? We do not worship Moloch. I have never seen nor heard of Moloch except when I came onto YouTube and people started telling me I worship Moloch. But it's not something we in Freemasonry do. Welcome, Infamous 14206. By the way, please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button and potentially even do a super chat. Oh, somebody was making noises outside of my place. I mean, I live in an apartment, so sounds like somebody's taking the elevator. But Infamous, let me know maybe where you got the idea that we worship Moloch, which I understand is an owl god. The only reason I know that is because people on YouTube and social media keep telling me I worship Moloch. They'd be disappointed. We also do not worship Baphomet. Again, I would not know whom Baphomet was if not for the fact that people on social media keep telling me I worship Baphomet. When they say Masons, well, a lot of people do, and there's different reasons. We in Freemasonry do have what's called the York Rite. York Rite being York Rite being a branch of Freemasonry, which has kind of connections to the Knights Templar, but they're not the same thing. Freemasonry, you can pick your dates, but it kind of started 1717, whereas the Knights Templar was around 1118 to 1310 or thereabouts. Um, well, what is the level at which I would know infamous about Baphomet? Because I've found that whatever level I'm at, it's never high enough. The other thing infamous I'd say is I've been a Freemason since 2007. I've attended approximately 1,000 Masonic meetings and events, um, all around the world. Um, Canada, United States, Brazil, Philippines, um, England. At no point have I seen anything that would indicate worship of Baphomet. And I could understand if I joined and never attended lodges or never visited or always had to give advance notice. The fact that I can show up around the world and be welcomed and not see anything untoward makes me highly question your beliefs therein. Jay, I don't disagree. Stonecutters, otherwise known as Homer the Great, is every Mason's favorite episode of The Simpsons, as well as I think every Mason secretly wants to be a stonecutter. Um, my brother, I'm sorry about that, Euro. That sucks. I hope your brother gets the help he needs. It's a shame. DDA, how, well, hopefully not demonic at all. I'd like to think of myself as not being a demonic individual. Um, but nonetheless, thank you for being here. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Tommy Guava, it's a secret. One of my favorite um, Masonic jokes in the world. I'm going to tell it to you, Tommy. What is how many Masons does it take to change a light bulb? The answer, it's a secret. So that's always been one of my favorite. That's always been one of my favorite jokes about Freemasons and Freemasonry, right? How many does it take to change a light bulb? It's a secret. Tommy, please hit the like and subscribe button. DDA as well. Is your heart with Jesus? DDA. So I'm not a Christian myself. I believe in a supreme being. To be a Freemason, you do not have to be Christian nor any religion. Freemasonry welcomes men of any faith, so long as you believe in a supreme being. Um, and so, me personally, I'm not a Christian. I do believe in a supreme being. But one of the greatest strengths of Freemasonry, I believe, is that it welcomes men and women, but it welcomes men of all different faiths and beliefs. We have Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, I even know some indigenous and Wiccan Freemasons. Do you have Freemason uniform? We do have aprons, right? The apron comes from our um, operative roots. Operative roots, ROOTS, right? Operative masons, stone masons who build things out of stone, wore aprons to protect themselves from spot or stain. We wear them in honor of our stone mason roots, as well as a reminder to ourselves of the kind of metaphorically speaking, to remind us to keep ourselves clean, at least act in a manner that would keep ourselves metaphorically clean. What does the white and black floor mean? Well, it depends. So there's different, um, what's the word? There's different jurisdictions within Freemasonry which have different types of flooring. In Canada, we have oftentimes what's called a mosaic pavement, which is checkerboard, usually black and white um, tiles. And it's one of my favorite things in Freemasonry, one of my favorite symbols within Freemasonry, because it talks about the uncertainty of life, um, and the way that, today things can be going very well, but you should not get too presumptuous. And by the same token, tomorrow things can be going very badly. You should not become too miserable, rather, or too dejected. Rather, it's about remaining calm and sanguine and tranquil despite whatever good or bad things life may throw at you. In the States, you oftentimes see the checkerboard more representing duality of good and evil, right and wrong, and kind of how we navigate these things. So it depends. Like floorings represent different things, again, depending on your jurisdiction. That's the most beautiful thing about Freemasonry. Well, the second most. The most beautiful thing about Freemasonry is the fact that everybody comes to it with their own understanding of the spiritual world, their own beliefs in a supreme being, which I think is beautiful. One of the second most beautiful things is the way the symbolism can be universal in idea, universal in purpose, but yet individual in application and jurisdiction. Um, yes, the G means genitals, in fact. Sure, we'll go with that, Infamous. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you are new to the stream, please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. And thank you all for being here as always. And even if you want to do a super chat of even just 99 cents, that would be incredibly helpful and kind. Uh, Euro, you have to let me know what you mean by that. I mean, kind of reading between the lines, Euro, I think you're asking, would we, hello, Brochacho, would we as Freemasons be expected to cover for another brother if he, let's say, committed a crime or whatever it is, in which case our loyalty is not meant to go that far? One of the misconceptions that exists within Freemasonry is, or that exists outside about Freemasons, is that we, are expected to cover up the crimes of our members. That's not the case. In fact, within Freemasonry, and this goes back to the earliest Masonic documents, we are expected that if any of our brothers commits a crime and we learn of it, either a crime pursuant to, the laws of the land, or even a, crime in accordance with kind of religious understandings, or pick your term, we are not expected to cover for them. We're expected to turn them into the authorities, lest the entire craft go in disrepute. And that's been around since the Regius poem and the Anderson Constitution. So that's going back to the 13th, 14th century. Obviously, I think because we're Freemasons, to a certain extent, it turns your heart to your brothers. So if you find out your brother's struggling in some way, financially or emotionally, you're going to be maybe more of a privileged position to know about that and then talk to him and try to support him however you can. But it would not extend to things like criminal activity. In fact, we as Freemasons are instructed to be good citizens and respectful of the countries in which we live or reside or work. And part of that means, not only not committing crimes ourselves, but not abiding criminal activities by others. But I think I have to potentially end this stream in a moment. What about rituals? Not so secret. Society with secrets, Euro. Not so secret. Is there? I mean, I don't know the numbers, Infamous, but there's a fair number. There's a fair number of black. In fact, there's Prince Hall Freemasonry, which was started for black Freemasons who were facing racism. Unfortunately, even from Masons, this was in the 17th, late 18th century. But the numbers I couldn't say. But Freemasonry welcomes men of all different faiths and ethnicities. You'd have to ask each Mason, right? Each Mason has a different view on politics. No two Masons have the same view. There is no Masonic view on politics. Just like there is no Masonic view on religion. Every Mason has to make his own decision. In fact, we are taught in Freemasonry, one of our rules is there's no discussion on politics or religion while in lodge. So, do they ever sacrifice? I mean, we sacrifice our time, we sacrifice our energies out of a love of Freemasonry, but that's about it. We don't obviously make any other types of sacrifices, despite what they may say on social media. You have to be more specific, Euro. Um, tra- Traditionally, I would be conservative. I still consider myself conservative, although personally, both in the States and Canada, I'm more a fan of either the Liberal Party or the Democrats than the alternatives. Um, well, that is definitely not the case, Euro. That is definitely not the case. Freemasons, I mean, Masonry, stone Masonry, existed since who knows, right? Building things from stone or fashioning stone existed since, gosh, I'm not even sure how long ago, since millions of years ago when the first, human ancestor fashioned something out of stone, like a stone tool. However, um, Freemasonry, right, which is the fraternal or civic or social group, it was, you could pick your dates, but I would put it at 1717, so about 1700 years after Christ. Um, the idea that Freemasonry existed before that is just not the case. So that's another one of those YouTube conspiracy ideas. I do not, Infamous, because I have never abused anybody to the point of terror. In fact, no Freemason has. I think, Infamous, you've been spending too much time watching some conspiracy stuff online, but that's not what Freemasons do. In all of my thousands of meetings and Masonic events, I've never come across or seen anything of the sort. So Infamous, I do not know what you're saying, nor can I answer your question. I'm very sorry. And to everybody watching, thank you as always for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the stream, and let me know your thoughts on Freemasonry. Again, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. Okay, well then I think you've been reading books that are full of baloney, Infamous. Because there are plenty of books that have misinformation about Freemasonry as well. It's not an exclusive thing to YouTube or social media. And normally I don't act stupid, I just am stupid. However, having said that, in this case, you have come across some very incorrect information, Infamous. Well, whichever books you're reading, it sounds like you may have got some incorrect information on Freemasonry. I mean, my advice to you, for whatever it's worth, I would recommend potentially um, checking out Chris Hodap's work, Freemasonry for Dummies. I'm not calling you a dummy, by the way, but Freemasonry for Dummies is a great book that describes kind of the basis of Freemasonry. John Bizak has done some good books as well, so I'd recommend you check out either of those. Well, what would be the level, Infamous, that would make you trust in what I'm saying? Um, is it possible that since I visited, Masonic meetings around the world and been a Mason for 20 years, if there were anything to see nefarious, don't you think I would have seen it by this point? right? Because that's one of those ideas, the lower level thing, that I've always found kind of strange, right? Because even if they were trying to hide something from the lower level Masons, right, at a certain point when I'm sufficiently active enough, I don't think they could hide it from me. Just the number of meetings I've attended, and not only attended, but attended without advance notice. It's not like every time I attend a Masonic meeting, I tell them in advance, when I'll be there or that I'm showing up. So they'd have to always assume a lower level Mason like me was just going to show up. At which point, when would they get to talk about their nefarious schemes? Welcome, though, everybody who is here. Thank you so much for joining, as always. Please take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know how you're doing and anything that you guys want to talk about. That's right, Mikhail. It is Mason Man. Please hit like and subscribe, by the way. I would truly appreciate it. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, this is one of those things where Infamous, you just kind of have to either trust or not trust me, which is fine, by the way. All I can say is I've been a Mason for a long time, and I feel I've seen enough to talk about it on the internet. And hopefully, by doing so, turn my passion into profession. Mikhail, it went very well. Thank you for asking. It went very, very well. Everybody watching this, check your fire alarms regularly. If I recall correctly, it's check them monthly, replace the battery yearly, and I think every 10 years replace the whole alarm. Fred Dog, are you trans? Would it make a difference if I were Fred Dog? He wants to know, I would like to know where the national treasure is too. If I had that national treasure, I could retire to an island somewhere. Infamous says whacked. Well, as always, Infamous, you're kind of have to either believe me or don't. I hope, though, if nothing else, I demonstrate that at the very least I'm authentic. Now, whether you think I'm getting good or bad information is a whole other story, but there's nothing I can do about that. The goat is doing very well. I promise you. The goat is doing very well. I do have a ring. Hold on just 1 second. I'll see if I can get it for you. Thank you, ML. You want to screenshot the ring? Okay, if you want. I mean, I love this ring. It's beautiful. This is I think I took a picture of it and put it on social media at some point. This is my ring. So yeah, came from my father. All right. Having said that, Infamous, you want to be really careful, and this goes to everybody watching this, but this is especially for Masons. Don't assume that just because someone has a ring, they're automatically a Freemason. I can tell you, I can purchase a ring at not at any, but many secondhand stores and pawn shops have rings that are for sale. Some, Masons will pawn them, especially if times get rough, but sometimes they'll just purchase a whole bunch of rings with that design on it because people want to purchase them, either because they like the design or maybe their dad was a Mason and they want to wear it, but they don't want to join. So you never assume, even with a shirt, you never assume that just because someone has has an article with the symbols that they're automatically Freemasons. You still have to ask for things like dues cards, proof, etc., etc. Sometimes people, they'll have a dad or a grandfather who was a Mason. The family member will pass away. They'll find their Masonic items and they'll wear them without knowing what they are. I'm proud of my Masonic ring, Infamous. I'm very proud of it. I've shown it off a few times. Um, you know, it comes from my father, um, and came from his grandfather. So yeah, I'm happy to show it off. Um, I've shown it off in a few streams. What if my name was Mason? I work on bricks and I join. Yes, yes, you could. Hello, Alex. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. By the way, if you'd like, feel free to do a super chat, 99 cents. Alex, if you have any questions about Freemasonry, please let me know. I don't wear my ancestors' jewelry. Well, I mean, I honestly, I don't wear my jewelry, Raven, because I'm in a wheelchair. And so if I'm in a chair, you can hear this, right? It always scratches against my wheels as I'm wheeling. So I don't wear it myself. I keep it here. But yeah, I I'm quite fond of all of my items. I mean, I have, just to give you some, show you what else I've got. Hold on just one sec. These are all of my pins that I've had from, years of travel. Most of these are Masonic pins. Like these are my um, blood donation pins and stuff. But I've worked. Okay, well, if you've been a stonemason, you're one up on me because I can't build anything to save my life or work with stone to save my life. I'm a speculative mason, not operative. But Alex, welcome. Thank you for being here. Um, I'm familiar with chairs and knee replacement. Ooh, well, I'm glad you're out of the chair, Raven. I hope the knee's feeling better. I promise you, Infamous, it is mine. Apparently, Infamous does not trust me. Well, so be it. Um, I like all these pins. They're really cool. Like, some of my favorite ones are. I'm trying to think if I had to pick like a favorite pin out of all of these. Um, I really like this pin here. So, I'll just show it. This barn degree pin. So, I got this in Paducah, Kentucky. They had a barn raising there, which is a third degree that was performed in a barn. Obviously, play on the idea of a barn raising, right? Doing a third degree in it. And I remember as I was there, the rain started to fall and it hit the tin roof of the barn. And you could hear it hitting the tin roof of the barn as the degree was taking place. It was a really, really, uh, there's something really special about that moment, I think. I don't know what it was about the rain hitting the tin roof that made me kind of feel good, but it did. I think maybe because it was just such a unique experience, right? I mean, I've been in Masonic buildings during rainstorms before, but you never really heard the rain hitting the roof in that way. Um, just because, Alex. Alex, like I said, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, I could go through so many of these pins and the really cool stories behind them. Like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think if I have any other like favorite stories I could share. Um, I mean, trying to think other my favorite. I mean, well, so these right here. Let's see if I can show them to you. The square, the level, and the plumb rule. These are some of my favorite tools and symbols in Freemasonry. I like the lessons they impart about things like equality. Um, I like this one because I like Star Trek, and this is from Hollywood Lodge in California. Um, there's a lot of, I mean, I love this one. This is from the Daylight Lodge. I love how unique it looks, right? I think sometimes when lodges are looking at creating pins, that they can creating pins that they can give to guests or visitors or even sell as um, fundraisers, they should look at maybe trying to create unique standout designs. Because if you look at um, like this one here, again going back, like it stands out, I think, a lot better than say just a round one. So my advice for Masons looking at doing such a thing, again, thank you everybody for joining. Infamous does sound a little bit silly. It sounds like he's somebody who has not ever experienced Masonry firsthand, but has just read a lot of stuff and assumes he knows. Um, but you know what? If you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to go online, then part of what that means is you're going to deal with some people who have some interesting points of view. You have to be willing to accept that. So I still appreciate him being here. And yes, I'm sure Infamous has or may have his own streams, which I encourage everybody to check out. I mean, it's one of those situations where, yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been told I'm not a real Mason by people on YouTube. However, people also, you know, make all sorts of accusations about me. You again, part of being online and on YouTube is you have to accept that people are gonna talk some stuff about you, and that's okay. Um, because it's still worth it because you get to talk to people um, like you, Alex, like Detailed Gaming, like Raven HQ, and you know what? Even Infamous, I don't mind talking to because maybe I can help disabuse him of some of the ideas he may have about Freemasonry. Detailed Gaming, your Mason. I like to tell things about Freemasonry. It's one of my favorite things to do, Detailed Gaming. I do it 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Detailed Gaming, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button if you're new to the stream. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Any questions? Is there anything you want me to tell? I won't tell you everything. I obviously keep the private parts of the ceremonies private, but if there's anything you want to chat about, let me know. Dennis is back. Welcome back, Dennis. Thank you for being here. Oh, you tried to catch me, Raven. Well, I do my best. I don't catch everything, but I do my best. Hey, if your mood is great, then you're great, right? If your mood is great, then you're doing great. So thank you for being here. I'm sorry that you're down bad, but I hope things get better. Please give overview. Overview in what? Like overview of Freemasonry, Alex? Um, because that's kind of it's a good question, but it's a very broad question. The simple overview is Freemasonry is a civic or a fraternal, but there's also a women's side, a civic or a social organization that evolved from stonemason guilds in the Middle Ages. It developed it was founded officially in 1717, the Premier Grand Lodge of England. And like I said, it's a social group that evolved from stonemason guilds. So you had basically unions, medieval unions of stone workers, and eventually non-operative, so speculative masons joined these groups as a way to be part of a social club, be part of a social group, have something of a social safety net. They didn't work with stone, but they joined these groups for the social and fraternal aspect. And over time, they developed their own rituals and their own kind of philosophies as a way to create bonds of brotherhood and strengthen the bonds of that brotherhood. And then over time, it just grew and grew and grew until the social aspect of Freemasonry was, significantly greater than the operative aspect of Freemasonry. And yeah, so again, 1717 was the founding of the Premier Grand Lodge of England. It reached its heyday in terms of membership and numbers in the 1920s and the 1950s, primarily on the backs of veterans returning from war who wanted to maintain and continue to be part of a brotherhood and a social group, and feel that sense of brotherhood and belonging when returning from war. Um, and yeah, ultimately, what it is a social group. I hope that made sense, Alex. Let me know if um, if that made sense to you, Alex. That's I appreciate that, Raven. That's very kind of you. What do Masons do on a whole? That's a tough question because ultimately, what Masons do is it's a social group. So, as with anything else, everything that is done is with any social group. What's done is the purpose of which is to maintain the social group. So, oftentimes during an administrative meeting, that means paying bills. That means making sure we're having refreshments. That means checking in on brethren who are ill or who are sick. Um, that means filling out whatever needs to be done to maintain our buildings, pay bills, do fundraisers. And then we have our ritual nights where we bring people through Freemasonry and initiate them or pass them or raise them to different degrees. And the ritual is what bonds us together, right? The purpose of ritual is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experience. And we have barbecues. Um, we do not, Andrew, we do not. I'm very sorry to disappoint you with what you've heard. Um, but ultimately, at its core, what Freemasons do, or what Freemasonry does, is fulfills the need that people have to belong to something greater than themselves. It really is no different than when you're a kid and you create a clubhouse and invite your friends to be part of your clubhouse. Ultimately, what we're doing is trying to ensure that that desire and need for friendship and brotherhood is fulfilled. And there's many different ways to fulfill it. Freemasonry is just one way. Um, there you go. And I will say though, on a side note, a lot of people think Freemasonry is exclusively for men. Certainly the majority of Masons are men. However, in some parts of the world, like in France, they do have co-Freemasonry for men and women. And there is also the Order of Women Freemasons. So um, it's not impossible. It's rare, but not impossible. And I'm not one who's ever going to be opposed to groups like the Order of Women Freemasons. I think they're a wonderful part of the Masonic family. Um, I do appreciate everybody being here. Let's give this another 10 minutes because then it's 2 a.m. and I got to get myself to sleep. Please, though, hit the like and subscribe button, and I hope that everybody watching this is doing well. And just a bit of a cough. No, I'm fine. EDC. So, EDC, welcome. I think you're new to the stream. Please hit like and subscribe. You're a little bit incorrect. We as Freemasons have never been anti-Catholic. In fact, I know many Catholic Freemasons, and we as Freemasons would welcome Catholic members. The Catholic Church has been opposed to Freemasonry for a variety of reasons, but it's never been reciprocal on our end. You're not wrong, Alex. Historical details and values explanations do help, but you also have to keep in mind there's something very personal about Freemasonry, which is one of the things I love about it. Meaning that everybody brings their own values to Freemasonry, right? Some people value the historical quality of it. Some people value historical connections. Some people value family connections. Some people value the charitable aspects of Freemasonry. Some people value the social aspects of it. Some people value it because it gives them certain skills, like they learn how to organize and administer meetings, memorization work, public speaking improves. That's, so people bring within Freemasonry, they value different things within it. So EDC, I've never seen Flowers of the Killing Moon. I heard that it paints Freemasons in a pretty bad light, but I've never seen it, so I can't say. I hope, though, that maybe the stream paints Freemasonry in a good life, um, or a good light, I should say. EDC, like I said, I think you're new. Please hit like and subscribe. And anybody wants to can do a 99-cent super chat. I very much appreciate it. And if you can't, I just appreciate you being here. I know money's tight right now for everybody. So zero worries at all. And share the stream, etc., etc. Well, I mean, the Knights Templar, it's not a direct continuation. It's not as though the Knights Templar evolved into Freemasons. Rather, the Freemasons, when developing certain rites and groups within its organization, relied upon Templar symbolism and mythology in order to develop more of its rituals. Um, in the same way, right? It's not Freemasons didn't derive from ancient Egypt, but many Masonic lodges use Egyptian symbolism within its degrees, within its buildings, because many Freemasons really enjoyed researching and studying ancient Egypt, right? When Freemasonry was forming and developing, ancient Egypt and Egyptology was incredibly popular. Certainly in Victorian England, that was the age of, going and raiding tombs in Egypt and stuff. And so as a consequence, Egyptian mythology and Egyptian symbolism became, big parts of Freemasonry, as did Templar mythology, as did Judaism, Christianity. Muslim symbolism made its way in there, Stoic philosophy, and obviously, first and foremost, stone masonry. I don't know them. Alex Levine. Isn't Alex Levine from Maroon 5? Unless I'm getting the name wrong. I wouldn't say theology because Freemasonry is not a religion, right? I would say philosophy is the best term. It's Masonic philosophical ideas, right? And some of those ideas have theological backings to them, again, because it borrows from Christianity and Judaism, as well as even some Muslim influences. But you could also say philosophies like it borrows from Stoicism. You could say mysticism from ancient Egypt. You could say art. So there's a lot of different terms you can use. It gets tricky. Esoteric, in many ways, esoteric's not a bad term at all. Though I wish we in Freemasonry were a little bit more exoteric and a little bit less esoteric. But that's just my opinion. The Gnostics, sure, coming from gnosis, knowledge. Um, the Enlightenment, right? Enlightenment era, I've argued in the past, and I would still argue that in 2025, there exist two great Enlightenment era experiments that still exist. The first is the first would be America, and the second would be Freemasonry. All right, Alex, calm down. I don't think Mikhail is trying to say anything, Alex. I think you need to relax a little bit. Don't make me put anybody in timeout over here. We're all just going to calm down. Because I can't see anything. And that's true for you as well, Mikhail. Everybody's going to just calm down a little bit. We're all going to be fine. These streams, it's too late to be getting cranky on stream from anybody. What is up, Theophilus? I'm doing well. Just have, going to be ending this stream shortly. But thank you all for being here. Oh, it's incredible, Laven. You're absolutely right. Like it is absolutely amazing all the things that were traded or not traded, pulled. I think is the right term. All the things that were pulled. I mean, Chinese mythology makes its way in there. The Templar history, Judaism, Christianity, Kabbalah, um, some Muslim symbolism, Stoic philosophy is a major part of it, Egyptian mysticism, um, Enlightenment era philosophy. Obviously, the primary is stonemasonry. I would say the lion's share of where things were pulled was from our stonemason brethren, but that is absolutely fascinating. Socrates is great. I don't think I've ever seen the painting. I probably have, I just can't think of it. If you'd ask me my favorite philosopher, it would probably be either Voltaire or Condorcet. Um, from the again from the Enlightenment era. Well, you'll have to. You can change it. In fairness, Mikhail, you can change your name. He was a Mason. It's interesting. Voltaire was good friends with Ben Franklin. Um, Voltaire joined Freemasonry 1 month before he died. So he was a Freemason, and 1 month later he died. I'm sure the conspiracy theorists will have lots of fun with that. But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting little factoid. Ben Franklin was at his initiation. Um, but again, so many Enlightenment era thinkers were themselves Freemason or just Enlightenment era figures. King George, George Washington, Ben Franklin, Paul Revere, Voltaire, Condorcet, Diderot. It was fascinating. Um, that's right. It is the Freemason guy, Never Knows Best. Please hit the like button. Perhaps even do a super chat. I don't think he was a Freemason. I don't know. I can check. As we got my squeaky table. Oh, apparently he was a Freemason. Apparently he was 33rd degree Freemason. No, wait. Never mind. No, he wasn't. Actually, he was not a Freemason. I hope everybody watching this is doing well. We're going to be ending the stream very soon. Well, as we all are, Never Knows Best. I mean, I know I've stayed up at night, many nights, thinking to myself, why can't I marry my pigeons that are on my balcony? That is, in fact, my goal in life, is to one day marry the pigeons on my balcony. You as well, Raven, and thank you as always for being here. I truly appreciated it. And to everybody watching this, thank you for being here. My next stream will be 1 p.m. tomorrow, or today technically, so in 11 hours. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll like. I hope you'll consider super chats. I hope you'll share the stream, etc., etc. Oh, Mikhail with the jokes. That's a pretty good one, actually. I don't mind that one at all. I'll give that one a 7 out of 10. But yes, I enjoy the intellectual conversations as well. All right, guys, thank you all for joining. As always, I'll be back on in about 11 hours. Everybody have an excellent night, and thank you as always for being here. 6 out of 10? Give it 7 out of 10. Come on. 6 out of 10 is too low. Be nice. See you guys.